and welcome to this truncated edition of ED Now Startup Central, India's first and only daily show dedicated to startups, technology and entrepreneurship. I'm Chandra Srikanth, joining you live from India Startup Capital, Bengaluru, and we are going to keep it with one big story, rather one big interview on the show today because my colleague Rahul Dharma caught up with LinkedIn's country manager Akshay Kothari on a day when the company clocked a significant milestone. Now, the professional networking platform has crossed the 500 million user mark globally, and in India alone, it's notched the 42 million mark, which makes it the second biggest market for LinkedIn in the world. Akshay Kothari spoke about plans going forward, how they will build on this milestone, and also how Microsoft has really helped the LinkedIn platform. Let's listen into this exclusive conversation.
I think for us, this is a big milestone. I think it's 13, 14 years in the making. We just hit 500 million members on the LinkedIn network. And also really exciting to share that India has hit 42 million members now in the country, which puts us as the largest market outside the US, which is a big milestone for us. But as you said, I think it's taken us on this amazing journey where we're really having the impact of really creating economic opportunity for these members. And just to give you a sense of the increasingly kind of fast growth we're seeing in India, we had the first 10 million members took us about 7 years to add. The last 10 million members were added just in about a year. And so, we've definitely seen accelerating growth in India, and a lot of that is due to the local investments we're making in the market.
Akshay, I want you to elaborate a little more on the India contribution, because it is indeed the second largest market for LinkedIn. Your local initiatives are paying off. So, take us through your initiatives like Lite. Has that sort of got users hooked? Because the smaller cities where web, as much as we talk about geo and the penetration of it, the reality is that data connectivity is still an issue here in a developing market like India. So has that also really helped you to get to the 42 million mark here in the country?
Absolutely. I think you're absolutely right. I think one of the things we've done in the last year is really improved accessibility of LinkedIn in whatever device and whatever connectivity a person has. And so which is why we started the project called LinkedIn Lite, which was really looking at our mobile website and trying to build it in a way where any device, even a 2G connection, will be able to use our offering, right? And so we basically brought down the speed to about a fifth of what it used to take. So it's about 5 times faster in terms of in terms of what it loads. And what that's done is it's actually enabled LinkedIn to go to tier 2, tier 3 towns where maybe connectivity is not that great. Yeah. The other thing to note, I think, on the same vein, is that there is also culturally, people are kind of not that keen on getting apps. And I think that could be because of the data usage. They want to keep it to a minimum, but also because of storage usage. They don't want to have too many apps on their phone. And so the LinkedIn Lite, which I think we're very excited to let you know that we're now across India, anybody in India, when they go to linkedin.com, they'll be able to access that offering. Is actually going to take us to the next 40 million members that will join, right? So it will really allow us to add the professionals and students in the remote parts of the country to come on board and join LinkedIn.
Would you give us a sense of how much has LinkedIn Lite seen a growth here since the time of its launch, for us to really understand, because you're saying it would help you get to the next 40 million mark really?
Right, so I think LinkedIn Lite is one of many things we've done in the market. I would say local investments have really accelerated our growth in the country. As I just mentioned, right, the last 10 million members were added in just about a year, just over a year. And a lot of that is because of local investments like Lite. And the other product that we've launched is called LinkedIn Placement,
I'll come to that, yeah.
which also again is looking at how do we help college students get their first job. Right, and not only that, even if you look at the core offerings, right, the LinkedIn apps that we have, we've actually done a lot of the improvements to the product so that it's become more and more relevant for Indian members. And so I would say like the combination of a lot of these things has been able to really allow us to accelerate growth in the India market, which again is contributing in a very meaningful way and really put India on the map in terms of a global importance, right? So India is one of the most strategic markets for LinkedIn today, and a lot of that is because of all the investments and all the growth we're seeing.
Also, Akshay, you struck that MOU with the Indian government where you'd be working closely with them. You also had a blog post on LinkedIn about how quickly you ended up doing that. But give us a sense of working with the government. For them, apart from Digital India, Skill India is a big opportunity. Job creation is a big focus area. So, how have things moved post that MOU has been in place, and will you largely be working with the government because the principle will sort of align from a LinkedIn perspective as well as the government's focus of ensuring that there's a lot more job creation. It's about putting the right things in the right place.
Absolutely. So I think, if you think about like what LinkedIn is trying to do, our dream is to create economic opportunity for every professional in the Indian workforce. And if you really think about that dream, you'll realize that it's so well aligned with what the government is trying to do. The government is trying to make sure that through programs like Skills India or Startup India is really to enable that there's enough jobs being created and also that enough people are getting those jobs. And so I think for me, having not interacted with any, person from the government up until 9 months ago, it's actually been a pleasant surprise. I think it's actually been a very pleasant experience working with them. And the blog post talked about how, actually with them as a stakeholder, it was one of the fastest partnerships we ever struck. And so we were very excited to do a MOU with the Human Resource Ministry, which what they've done is they've enabled placements as a product to all the different colleges in India. And that's really kind of powered a lot of our growth, right? So to give you a sense, the first 10 weeks when we launched the product of placements saw 2 million job applications on our platform, just in about 10 weeks. And so this idea that any college student can now take a test sitting at their home or their college to get the best jobs in the country through a product like placements has actually really resonated with the Indian audiences.
Got it. Also, coming to your plans to work with startups, while you launch those India-specific initiatives, there's also an interesting booster pack for startups. Give us a sense of how that has worked, and largely LinkedIn's play for startup ecosystem. Are you on the prowl for some sort of an acquisitions, partnerships, investments, or will they largely be to help them access the platform better? What really is the startup strategy really?
So great question. So I think we continue to be very excited about the startup ecosystem in India. And so, when different products are obviously looking at the consumer side in terms of giving them accessibility, at the end of the day, LinkedIn is a marketplace. And so the only way this marketplace works is if you have enough companies also joining the platform and also putting their jobs on the platform. And within that space, startups emerge as among the most interesting things that's happening in the Indian ecosystem. So what we launched was what we called a starter pack, which is essentially we can partner with small, medium businesses and startups to really help them grow their business using LinkedIn. And that's off to a really good start, almost to a point where now we've institutionalized that and put it as part of our sales organization in terms of really pushing that to small, medium businesses in India. And so in general, we're very excited about what we're doing there. In terms of acquisitions, or partnerships, we've actually done a fair bit of partnerships in the last 6-9 months. We've partnered with a lot of jobs providers in order to improve our liquidity. We've also partnered with a lot of assessment players like Aspiring Minds or HackerRank as a way to really become the enabler
to sort of push.
Exactly. And so we continue to do that. I think our philosophy is to be open about that. If we see a gap which could be kind of assisted by partnerships or acquisition, we're definitely open to that.
Akshay, and I want you to be candid on this. In terms of the next big bet for India, would it really be content and media? Because as far as startups, you have a product. For placements at colleges, you have a product. But what would the big bet for LinkedIn on India be? Would it really be content and media? Because that's where a lot of investments are coming in. A lot of media companies, old age companies are waking up to the fact that content is going to be the king really in the coming years.
So I think we definitely see content as one of the fastest growing consumer products for us in LinkedIn. In terms of when you think about people coming back to LinkedIn and what they do, I think few people are looking for jobs, every couple of years. But I think people who come back daily and weekly, it's all about staying informed and staying engaged. So we feel pretty good about our content portfolio as well. So on one hand, we have Folks like Prime Minister Modi, who's regularly publishing on our platform. Recently, we added Priyanka Chopra, who's publishing long-form posts, as well as Sachin Tendulkar. And these people are writing, from their experience, there's amazing things that are very relevant to all different members of our platform. So we have that, and then you also take a long-form content, which is, how can I upskill myself? How can I learn the right next thing so that I can be prepared for the jobs of tomorrow? And so for that, we have an amazing library of Lynda content, which allows you to, let's say you're a product manager today and you want to be a designer, you can learn all the different skills from there to really make that switch. And so overall, content from staying informed today in terms of what news is going on, and the long-form content in terms of upskilling is really going to drive a lot of people in terms of advancing their career on LinkedIn.
As far as challenges that India pose, any specific challenges that you see in terms of also at a time when automation, we're talking about artificial intelligence, the nature of jobs are really changing, the skill sets that one requires to make the switches of get a new job. You've previously, of course, extensively spoken about the gap in the education system, what skills we bring to what is required, but what really are the big challenges that you're facing, and how do you see them really panning out?
I think for India, I would say like the biggest one that we can really solve for the country, not just for LinkedIn, is really closing that skills gap. Just to kind of put some numbers, we have on any given day about 500,000 jobs on our platform in India. So these are basically companies wanting to fill these positions and basically complaining that they're not able to find the right talent. And then you also have about 10 million graduates coming out of college complaining that they're not getting enough jobs. And I think
interesting conversation there with Akshay Kothari. 500 million users globally, 42 million alone in India. Everybody keeps talking about Facebook and Twitter all the time, but I think LinkedIn is one of the most powerful but underrated platforms that there is out there. But with that, we come to the end of this edition of ET Now Startup Central. Thanks so much for watching.
Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/etnow and don't forget to click the like button. You can also follow us on Twitter at etnowlive. To stay updated with all our programming, hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel by logging on to youtube.com/etnow.